Alright, boys, so after going MIA for like a few months at this point, I think the last time I was on here was like the very nearing the end of like when prank kids were like about to be the best tech. But yeah, so from clearly as you can see from the title, I went to the Milwaukee region. I was like 300 something players, passing the cap because there's a lot of us in this very tiny hotel venue. So yeah, I came in 15, top 16 with Swordsoul 10E featuring the Noodle Man. I ended it with a 7-2 record, only losing round 2 and round 8 to Despia round 2, and then Live Twin round 8. I played against 5 Despia, 1 Synchron, 1 Flunder, 1 Live Twin, and then 1 60 card. Go second, Ice J Penguins. That was the real winner today, bro. he was Chad, before we get into the very basic goo of the deck, I just wanted to say some quick words, I guess, quote unquote shout outs. Shout out to Sam, Anthony, Bernard, Danny, Ken, the dude I faced round 9 that I had to beat in order to go X2. I don't remember your name, bro, but I know you didn't bubble. You ended up getting your tops, your invite. So really happy for you, bro. If you ever see this, congrats. Shout out to Fisher, Alex for driving me to the event, even though we were an hour late because of me. But we ended up making it. We weren't gonna play because we literally didn't make the reg. We were literally at the front of the line, and then we did because they opened up reg. So yeah, shout out to Mark Lamarquina, insane. Shout out to Sal for lending me his droplets. Shout out to Eric for being a homie, and Jesus, being the boys, checking up on us every other round. Shout out to Craig for being my hype man every round, checking up on me, telling me I got this, and then cheering me on. Shout out to Lewis. I said if I ever top the regional or something like that and did a profile, I shout you out. So shout out to you, Lewis. You ever see this, Godspeed. Shout out to Frank, the Euro plug, always hooks me up with Euro cards. Yeah, hooked me up with the European driver, so let's go. Yeah, but shout out to him, he's insane. Told me literally the night before to get top 8 for him, couldn't do it, got top 16 instead, so that's something. And then shout out to the homie Eric Garde, he ended up winning the whole regional. He went like, I believe, 9-0 undefeated, so yeah, he's insane. God, yes, he is stacked. Yeah. Anyway, let's get into the goo. So yeah, played Swordsoul, 45 cards. It's gonna be pretty basic, I think. For the monsters, I played 3 Ecclesia, 3 Moye, 3 Longwan, 2 Taya, 3 Otara, 3 Shuna, 2 Vishuda, 1 Chitana, and then the best card in the deck, 001. I drew the 001 all the times when it didn't matter. So when it mattered, so it was good. But yeah, I think the ratios are pretty standard at this point. It's not really any like math that is going into any of this. I think it's just basic. I think the only point of like discussing is the Ecclesia Taya lineup, because I know Charlie and like Dominic for their YCS list, they were like playing I think 2 Ecclesia only and then 1 Taya. But I feel like you kind of want to max out on all the names because you kind of want to open one. And I get the logic. Oh, Taya is usually the worst one, and then drawing multiple Ecclesias going first is really bad because it's just another copy of Moye. And you essentially just have 8 normals in the deck. But I feel like you want to open at least one, and I get it. Opening like multiple Ecclesias is like terrible, but I feel like you still really need to see a name to like combo, including with the 10Es to just like create some board. So yeah. That's it for the main deck monsters. Nothing really like goo, no spice, no like random Yang Zings in here or like Metaphys cards or anything crazy. Not yet. Yeah, that's it for the monsters. For the spells, I played 3 Emergence, 3 Vessel, Desires, Called By, and then 1 Blackout for the traps. This is pretty standard as well, I think. The only thing I'm not playing is Circle. And that's just because I don't think it's needed anymore, especially with like cards like Ogre leaving the format, which is I feel like one of the bigger reasons you had to play Circle. But again, I don't have that much experience playing the deck, so I wouldn't really be able to tell you like in theory a lot of the key interactions. I've only been playing the deck for like a month, so you know all this is I think pretty solid, kind of solved at this point. Because I know for the YCS list, some people were not playing Circle. They're either opting for E-Tele or Talents, so I opted for the Talents route. Card overperformed, was really good, so yeah. But that's about it. Going second, you usually side these out. Don't side this out. Going second against Cespia, even though I'm telling you to side it out. But I tend to side this out. Am I bad at the game for doing that? 100%. But yeah. But for the non-engine, it was 3 talents, 3 Ash, 3 Belle, 3 Droplet, and 3 Impermanence. These were great. Ash and Imperm were phenomenal. Imperm top decks were insane, and then Ashing Branded Fusion was like just really good. I don't think these cards have a lot to talk about. I have to say a lot about these cards. I mean, I think it's just explained at this point why you play them in the formats that they're played in. A lot of people don't like this card, and I get it. But I think it's one of the few interactions you have, especially against the Despia deck, to play around Chimera, so you just don't get like blown out of the water, where they like pop either 1 or 2 of your cards and then just draw more cards, because Chimera kind of blows. The only real card worth having any form of discussion, I think, right now is Belle. I know a lot of people don't like this card, or they're really up on the fence about it. I am too, still slightly, but I feel like it's still needed, mainly because it still hits rights. Well, not rights, but Enchantress. It still hits Prank Kids, which is still seeing some form of representation, and it hits Despia too, because it doesn't just hit, you know, branded in red. You can hit Alibur, which is still solid because it makes it where you don't have to deal with it anymore, and then you can also just Belle Masquerade from reboarding itself, so it's kind of cool. Yeah, that's about it for the non-engine. Main deck is 45, so yeah. For the extra deck, for the stuff people like to see it. For the links that I played, I only played 2 Monk, 1 Shaman, the Noodle Man, and then Auroradon. I resolved the package like 3 times. Insane. This never came up, just because I was never put in situations where I had like Chening or Sovereign engraved, because that's kind of the main utility of this card, and like bringing back Chi-Zhao, or like box you to keep playing in some instances, but without having to commit more to the board. But yeah, it was just there. You can't play Herald over this, but I still feel like this is needed. But again, I haven't tested this deck that much, especially this list. So that just tells you enough, I guess. For the Synchros, I played Yazi, Tiboxia, Berserker, Chi-Zhao. Massive shout out to Gianna for signing this to me before he left to, he left. A buddy of mine, he ended up moving. He signed one of my Chi-Zhao. Shout out to him. He signed my Chening too, so massive shout out to you, broski. Much love. Chao Feng, Sovereign and Baron. Never made this going first. I was always making this, and I would just Chi-Zhao with like hand traps. So yeah, I made this going second all the time though, because Baron going second is insane. Baron go brazy, negating and popping stuff, and then forcing cards. It's just always cheese. Yeah. Those are the synchros. I think it's pretty standard at this point. Unless you want to play like Herald and like Shaman, you can do with like Charlie, I think, did, and like Dominic did, which is they cut the second Boxia for it, but I feel like the second Boxia is needed. But I don't know. I might just be bad at the game. And then tokens. Shout out to Dylan, the Dill Dog, the Dillarino, for these tokens. Came in clutch. Summon them all the time because I had to. Yeah, shout out to the homie. I love you, Dylan. If you see this, much love, bro. You're insane. God, yes. The Infernoble guy. My man hand loops me all the time. For the side, for the only hand traps I played 3 Gamma and then 3 Rock. Sided in this all the time. I don't think there was one matchup I didn't side it in against. That's a lie. Flunders. I didn't side it in against Flunder. Or Penguins, because I didn't know what the deck did, so yeah. But besides those 2, I like decided in this for every other matchup. Nibiru only came in once, and it didn't matter because I never saw it, so yeah, it sucks. For the back row hit, I played 3 Cosmic and then 1 Duster Reboot. These cards are great. Never put in Cosmics. The ones I was always putting in though were Reboot and Duster. For the Duster deck, the siding pattern that I had, I would just side in the Gamma engine and then Duster Reboot. So you have 6 cards because you don't want to lose to D barrier, but like it doesn't really matter because a lot of people aren't on barrier. So, and if they are, you know, it's kind of weird. I don't know, it's in a weird position, I think, in the format. But Duster is just a blowout, you know, getting to Duster cards like face up Lost, and then any cards that are set like Tragedy, not Tragedy, Brandon and Red, because it forces stuff like that out relatively early. So it's really good to, you know, make it where you don't die immediately. To like a Chimera, you force a Chimera, which is pretty insane. But yeah. And then the only other card I played on the side was 3 anti-spell. Sided in this going first. I only went first like post games 1, like I think 3 times maybe, and I only drew it once, but it didn't matter because my hand was already really stacked. So this on top was just the nuts. So it kind of sucked. But it was a good card. The theory behind it is really good. I know some people are playing like Rivalry over this, and I get it, but I think anti-spell is just slightly better because it hits a lot, especially just it's really killer against the Despia deck because you're forcing like really early the like branded opening, and at that point you don't care. You just hold everything and then you just kill them on turn 3 with like the advantage you have. Plus, like majority of the deck is literally all spells, so you just turn off all the power spells and then you just pray you can kill them on turn 3. Yeah. But that's it for the deck. It's, again, like I said, it's pretty standard. It's just basic Swordsoul Tenny. There's not a whole lot to discuss about it, but yeah, that's about it. Yeah. Again, shout out to all the homies that were there who got their tops for the first time, their first regionals, and they were insane. Yeah, shout out to the homies. Like, love you all. You guys are insane. Massive, massive love for all the boys out there. All the boys, all the homies. We topped. We did it. You know, let's get these invites to Nats, boys. Yeah, so that's about it. See you guys.